Hey, thanks so much for finding the video. Do us a favor. If you haven't done so yet, please subscribe. And be sure to leave your comment. We love to interact. Enjoy the video. So, when we left you on when we left you on Monday, it appeared as though Ryan Nielsen and LSU were about to consummate their relationship. But not so fast. Jane Slater last evening tweeting that, there's a snag. Apparently there's a clause in Ryan Nielsen's contract that could prevent him from making the move if the Saints wanted to block it. And I'll be damned, the Saints did just that today. It was Bruce Feldman, who, if you get something from Bruce Feldman, it came directly from either Ed Ogeron or Derek Panamsky. Feldman literally wrote the book on Ed Ogeron, so if you get something from Bruce regarding LSU, it's rock solid. That's where it came from. Bruce Feldman tweeted source, so basically Derek or Ed. Saints defensive line coach Ryan Nielsen is remaining with New Orleans. He was a target for LSU's defensive coordinator job. That was at 12:12 p.m. today, just afternoon. We also found out a bit later from our good buddy Mike Triplett of ESPN.com that it appears as though Ryan Nielsen was getting a little something. So the Saints, apparently, with Dan Campbell moving on to the Detroit Lions, Ryan Nielsen gets a 3-year contract, the added title of assistant head coach with the Saints. Campbell had that title before leaving for the Lions, so Nielsen takes on some of that leadership duty associated with that role. That's from Mike Triplett. Okay, so what's happened here today is a lot of Saints fans have said, well, clearly the Saints valued Ryan Nielsen and offered him more, and so he just bypassed LSU. Some other cynics out there going, oh man, he leveraged LSU to get more from the Saints. Hey, no. This morning, reports were that the deal was done. And it was. They had agreed to terms. So how do you end up here? The same way you end up in the same situation with LSU over and over and over again, man. Because it is a comedy of errors with stuff like this. You are LSU. 12 months ago, you were hoisting a national championship trophy, polishing off the greatest season in college football history. And now, 12 months later, you are 6 candidates deep in a defensive coordinator search, and it's one bumbling gaffe after another. I would say it's unbelievable, but it's all too believable with the way that program is run. Let's go through this to be abundantly clear, okay? Bo Pelini was fired on December the 21st. That was 28 days ago. You've had 4 weeks. 4 weeks. 4 weeks. You knew in October, after the Auburn game, that Pelini wasn't going to be back. So you really had 3 months to make this happen. And now you're sitting here in mid-January, still without a defensive coordinator and no real prospects. When Bo Pelini was fired on December the 21st, that day, Ryan Nielsen was mentioned as a candidate. That day he was mentioned. 28 days later, you had a month to vet everything. And you didn't know that there was a clause in his contract whereby the Saints could block that move? You got to do one of two things if you're actually doing your due diligence. You have to know that clause is in the contract, or you've got to go to Sean Payton and say, hey, we'd like to talk to Ryan Nielsen about being our defensive coordinator. He's got this clause in his contract. Would you be okay with us having that conversation with him? And apparently, neither of those two things happened. So who's running this thing over there? I mean, Ed Ogeron comes on the radio every week and gives us an idea. Ed Ogeron comes on the radio every week and gives us an idea as to who's running this thing.
But we feel good about our research. Derek Panamsky has done a great job.
Oh! Feel good about the research. Derek's done a great job. Maybe he missed that little caveat. And it's not like it was a one-time thing. He mentioned it.
Derek Panaski did a great job.
Great job.
Derek Panaski.
Every time he's on the radio. Derek. Look, I love Derek, man. Derek was at my wedding. I love the guy. But what are we talking about here? If you're going to praise with the good stuff, you got to criticize with the bad stuff. If you're going to sit there and give him credit over and over again, this is Derek, this is Ed. That's what this is. How can you be sitting in this situation? You had a month to vet this. Egg all over your face now. You still don't have a coordinator. Where do you go next? If you're going to sit there and give him credit for all the research he's doing and vetting it, like, how did you miss this? So the Saints season comes to an end on Sunday. All right. Now you can move forward with Nielsen. I mean, Ed Ogeron is on the radio on this station every Tuesday, and he's been talking about this. We got our guy. We just got to be patient. We all talked about it last week. We've been talking about Ryan Nielsen for a month. Now listen, this is absolutely Sean Payton being petty as hell. There is no way around that. This is Sean Payton being a grade A-hole. Petty. Ryan Nielsen's a great coach. He doesn't want to lose him. He's lost assistants to LSU already. This year he's losing Dan Campbell. They lost Terry Fontenot. He's going, hey, I got to stop the bleeding here. Let me see what I can do to keep my guy. There's a clause. You're not going anywhere. And if you actually ask around, this isn't new for Sean. He's done this before to Ryan Nielsen. He's done this before to Aaron Glenn. Sean does this. And I'm not mad at him. That's why you have contracts. You have contracts in place to protect yourself. That's why contracts have buyouts. That's why there are these clauses. I work in a business where non-competes are a thing. You sign a contract with a non-compete so that way you don't leave your current employer to go to your competitor in the same market and compete against your employer. You usually have like a 6-month or a 12-month contract where you have a non-compete. Like, I'm not mad at the Saints for having that in Ryan Nielsen's contract and then exercising it. Could they have let him leave? Sure, they could have. But ultimately, Sean Payton said, And my guess is, one of the things that set Sean Payton off is nobody ever called him to let him know that they were interested. Ryan Nielsen walks into his office on Monday after the Saints lose a playoff game and says, Coach, I'm going to take the LSU gig. Oh, like hell you're not? Oh, we didn't want to call during a playoff run. Okay, then have some tact. Have an approach. Call Sean Payton on Monday and say, Coach, man, tough loss. Hate it for you guys, man. Great run, though. Hey, listen, we really like Ryan a lot. We'd like to talk to him about our DC job. Would you mind if we did that? Call him on Monday. Have that conversation with Sean Payton. And then talk to Ryan Nielsen. And then maybe on Wednesday you hire him. What's 2 more days if it's the guy you want? Down this road again. All the people going, man, well, Nielsen wanted to stay in the NFL. Mike Detillier, last week on this show, relayed a firsthand conversation he had with Ryan Nielsen a year ago.
You know, it's almost time that, Ryan's been a defensive line coach with the Saints, and I think he has aspirations to be a head coach one day in college. And so I think he takes his shot here.
Mike relayed to how he talked with Ryan Nielsen at the Louisiana line camp, which he's done every year, and he had that conversation with Ryan where he said he had aspirations to be a college head coach. This was an opportunity to come to college, to be a coordinator, to make north of $1 million a year, probably close to $2 million a year, and set yourself on a trajectory. If that's what Ryan Nielsen's end game is, why wouldn't he take this job? You don't get head coaching jobs from being a line coach in the NFL. At some point, you've got to advance and move on. This was Sean Payton being an a-hole, but the reason he was given the opportunity to be an a-hole is because LSU, again, didn't do their due diligence. So now here you sit. You had an initial list of 6 candidates. You've blown through that, and now who do you go to next? I have no idea. But the longer you wait, the more you miss. Haven't heard the name Ryan Walters, have you? Ryan Walters, young guy, energetic, was the DC at Missouri this year. He's a guy they might have wanted to talk to. Oh, Brett Bielema already hired him at Illinois. Now, it's not to say you couldn't go try to hire him away, but the longer you wait, the thinner that pool of candidates gets. And the more gaffes you have, the longer you have to wait. No biggie. I mean, just coming off of the worst defensive season in the history of LSU football. No worries. Just coming off the first non-winning season since the year 1999. Last time they didn't make a bowl, 1999. No biggie. Just the worst season in 20 years. And really the crux of your issue was you were historically bad on defense. Not really that big of a hire, is it? Just pinpointing the guy who's going to manage your defense and bring you back to an elite level on that side of the ball. We got a guy. We're doing our research. Really proud of our research and our process here. Oh, no biggie. Thought you had your guy, but because you bumbled around and didn't know this contract, this clause existed in his contract, you're stuck here without the guy who was your initial first choice. Ooh. Y'all wonder why? Like, I don't have confidence they're going to nail it? Why would I? Why would I have confidence that they're going to nail it? They don't nail anything. They've nailed one thing, Joe Burrow. Thank God Urban Meyer picked Dwayne Haskins. Other than that, where is this program? Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact. And be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.